Let's jump into the WNBA Finals that just ended, which was unbelievable. I think we would love your point of view because you do have the expertise of winning 11 of 12 finals games you've played in. 3 of your 4 championships were sweeps. And the only finals game that you ever won, Aliyah, was 3. It was 2004.
Oh, they lost, yeah.
2.5.
Or the only one you lost. Sorry,
Yeah.
I misspoke.
2.5.
The only one that you lost in the finals was 2004.
Oh, you were game. 3?
She was 3 years old.
Tough.
So can you speak to just sweeping one and the dominance and the mindset that it takes to that? But also, like, I mean, the Aces are a part of a dynasty at this point. 3 championships in 4 years. You think about the Comets. You think about, you know, back-to-back was the Sparks in the early 2000s. You think about Seattle Storm winning multiple championships in a condensed amount of years. What mindset does that take to be able to do that? Because you can't do the same thing that you did to win the year before to win this one.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is letting go of the prior year, right? Like taking what you can from it, learning from it, but really letting go, not comparing. I think that's a big part of it. I don't know. Sometimes I when I think back, on my own career, but then like you look at other people's careers, a lot of careers, even the most successful ones, are like riddled with just like bad stuff happening that you had no control over. Obviously, injuries is the first thing that comes to mind. It could be.
Yeah, Aaliyah's shaking her head with the injuries.
I'm like, I relate.
Yeah.
Leah's like, yeah, injuries. I know.
Yeah. But actually, you know what? I'll stay with you guys. You come into the season and you're like, you look around the locker room, you're like, this could be the year. Like, we got it. And then before you know it, it's like stuff just happens. Yeah. And so I know, Candace, you have stories like this. Everybody has stories of looking around the locker room, knowing that this could be a year where you make a run and just something happens. So injuries is one example. In off seasons, it could be free agency, right? Like somebody decides they want something different. This kind of happened to us in 2020. We win. Natasha Howard, Alicia Clark, they go off to different teams. That's 2 of our starters, right? So we never really had a chance to run that particular year back. So things just happen, right? And so when I think of, for me personally, what's so impressive about dynasties, what's so impressive about the Aces is this particular year was different from the other 2. And so to find it again, to find like, I don't know, magic, I guess, right? To find the thing that works again in this short period of time is really impressive. It also speaks to like understanding when you do have a chance to not let that slip through, because there's going to come a year where they have no control over what happens, whether it's free agency, injury, whatever. And so when you do have a chance, it's not missing the moment when you have it. And that's really about, like, particular to this season, what's so impressive, because they almost let it slip, right? Like the first half of their season was really tough. That, like, the MVP in Asia Wilson, who, you know, people are now putting her, you know, in greatest of all time. Her resume speaks that. So she almost had a situation where she could have looked back and been like, man, when I was 29, we could have won that year and I tricked it away. But they didn't. And that's, I think, was most impressive.
Yeah, I mean, even just from looking as a competitor, it was like you're in the middle of the season, like you're both kind of very similar to where in the seeding and the rankings, and all of a sudden they take off, and then you look and they're on like a 5-game win streak, and they're on a 7, and they're on a 9, and they're on a 12, and they just keep going. Like it's crazy to watch, but I think also, like, when you talk about having that group of players that just basically just know how to win, they know exactly what it takes, and I feel like, not to turn into the fever, but I will. Like, looking at our locker room, like, I think this year we really had, outside of the injuries, like, we really had people that knew how to win, like with Sid and with Tosh. And so obviously that part sucks, but also just feeling like being 1 game away from a finals. It's just like
1 overtime.
You can't 1 overtime. I should have
that. Well, like, you can't. I'm telling you, no team has ever won it without a year like the year you had last year, where you have that taste in your mouth. You're left with that taste in your mouth. It's just it's a motivator you like can't create. You have to experience epic fail and have it and have that taste in order to like use it the next year. But I love the point you bring up, because I feel like watching you guys, I really realized I already knew it, but it was like, it gave me the talking point to talk about how important vets are.
Yeah.
They're
Seriously,
just so important. And a lot
they
of
were
times because
great.
of money,
Hmm.
you might keep a younger player over a vet.
Yeah.
But your team showed it's like you need people that know how to win, that have been around.
It's like the know-how. And I think you don't understand it until you're around people that have won and have that like it factor of, figuring it out. And you talk about the Aces losing, Kelsey Plum to LA. You talk about key bench, which is what they struggled with early in the year, and identifying their bench, because Alicia Clark was a huge addition. Sydney Colson, whether she played or not, she was a huge voice and led the bench squad. And so with those departures, it did take an adjustment period. And you're right. Sue, do you look back at any year and think like, man, we could, because for me, I think 2017, we lost in game 5 against Minnesota, and that was one of their championships in their dynasty. So for us, it could have been 2-3 instead of 4-1. And we lost in game 5, lost at home in game 4. And then the last second shot in 2015, I remember coming overseas and Diana giving me a hard time because they gave the ball to Elena going left. And I remember every time I'd show up to practice, she would be like, man, like, like same thing with you. Oh, I can't believe, type of thing. And it just eats at you the entire off season and you're overseas. And so those are probably the 2 years that I look at as like in 2008 that we could have won the championship. So do you have years like that?
Yeah, actually, the year for us that I feel that way about is 2008. We were in a position where we signed in the offseason like Yolanda Griffith, Cheryl Swoops. I think that was Swin's first year in Seattle, to team up with myself and Lauren and like Tanisha Wright and so on and so forth. And it took us like, we were a new team. We were kind of, and Yo and Cheryl were on the, the tail end of their careers, but like we were figuring it out. And the one team that we kind of had problems with, but then like figured out also, was both Detroit and San Antonio. Like, I'm not saying, I don't even know what our like regular season record was, but we were like, oh, at least at the very least, no offense to the LA Sparks, I think we could have gotten to the Western Conference Finals. We were like sitting in first, second, heading into Olympic break.
And Aliyah, normally when somebody says no offense, it means offense. But go ahead.
Don't worry, I got it.
Because we got to the Western Conference Finals that year. So I just want to put that out there. Go ahead, Sue.
So go to Olympics, Lauren gets hurt. And I just feel like that year we did have enough to make a run. And that year I feel like we did have enough to make a run. But then the minute Lauren's out, now we're just like, we're trying. And I think we lost to you guys in the first round.
Yeah. That was when the series was 1-2.
It was a crazy finish.
It was 1-2, but it was also back-to-back at Seattle. So we lost game 2, and then we had to play the next night, Aliyah. Heads, we played back-to-back in the playoffs.
Hyperbaric chamber after all. Man.
I needed it. And I was like 22.
Yo, I think we were higher. We were the higher seeded team. That means.
Yeah, you guys were higher seeded.
We were legit. We were good. Lauren getting hurt really just killed it. So that one, I feel like we could have made a run. And then honestly, the two scenarios around like the era of Stewie, Jewel, and myself is we win in 2018. This is like, okay, we have arrived. Nobody expected it. I think we're, set to or picked to finish like 6th or 7th that year. We win. 2019, Stewie and I both have surgeries, don't play. We run it back in 2020, win again, bubble season. So I understand that some people have opinions about that, but we win it. And then we lose 2 starters in free agency. So those more so like 2019 and 2021 feel like I never got the chance with that group. So that just feels like, oh, what could have been, not that like we could have or should have won, but like, man, like we never got to try it. So that kind of feels, that's like let go a little bit, but what are you gonna do?
And I think that just speaks to like the woulda, coulda, shoulda. And I say that like you can be as good as you want to be, but it takes a little bit of luck. It takes a little bit of things going your way. And with that being said, the Aces being able to figure out different ways. I mean, I was on the bench injured in 2023, 2023, when 2 starters both have foot injuries for game 4 in New York.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And Becky just was like, hey, we're going to just run a junk defense. We're going to junk it up. And that's what they did against the Liberty. And I'm sure the Liberty are looking at that game like, if we could have just forced the game 5.
It's why they won in 2024. Motivated.
Exactly. But it's also back-to-back. I mean, there's also an opportunity to go back-to-back. You know what I mean? And so with that being said, I think there's like, the biggest advice I would give to Aliyah is like those moments where you see a possibility, everybody has to be on the same page, because one bad apple, one bad attitude, it takes the whole ship down with you.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
but I agree with you on luck. I could sit here and tell you the times that we won where luck, like maybe it's we didn't have to play against a team that we had struggled with that year. 2018, Atlanta was the one team where like we just could not figure them out, and they lose in the Eastern Conference semis. Angel McCautry tears her ACL that year. That's not the luck part. So I mean, you know what I mean? Obviously injuries, you would never wish that. But it changed their team. Didn't matter. We struggled with them. Somehow they lose in the semis and we don't have to play them. It happens. I mean, listen, Vegas was figuring a lot out this season. In the second half, figured a lot out in the playoffs. Kelsey Mitchell.
Yep.
She has whatever, I can't even pronounce that word, of the thing that she had.
They would have.
And it's like, who knows what happened?
Aliyah is still
like, this is
Aliyah is still stewing.
I don't even know if
But like sometimes there's a little bit of luck involved.
There is a little bit of luck.
It's not to say you're lucky you won. It's just like there's luck involved.
Yeah, there's luck involved. But I also say that learning how to win is a muscle. Yep. And it is evident in the way Vegas won this year. It is evident in the way Golden State pulled that championship out of nowhere, out of thin air against Boston in 2022. Like, it's just it's a muscle. And once you learn how to win in those moments, I'm telling you, it's a cheat code.